Garuda
Go live! Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. I can't hear a single one of my panel members because the program I use is amazing. What a week in gaming. Actually, it's been pretty quiet, let's be honest. There hasn't been a whole lot going on, but there's some interesting conversations always to be had about gaming. Before we do that, Umbra, how's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things?
Oh, man, no, the week has been great, man. I have been up to a few things, gaming-wise. Been playing a bunch of Shadows. I have been playing a bunch of Rise, Son of Rome, finally on PC, and being able to mod that a bit is gorgeous, as you would expect. And that's the CryEngine, by the way, not the Unreal, so I can't even brag this time. Matter of fact, CryEngine and Anvil Engine are both stunning, so there is that. And had a great podcast the other day with Danny and Crusader as guests, so yeah, man, good week so far. I'm planning on spending time with the family this week, going to see Sinners, and we want to do some karaoke, so I can't wait. Good to be here with you guys tonight.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I have been a little bit out of the whole podcast. I'm normally in and out of everyone's podcast, definitely Colts, Umbras, just checking in and out, seeing what's going on in the podcasting world, but I've just had zero time to be in any, so I'm a little disconnected. That's good. Good. It's like having a holiday. Holly, how's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things? What are you playing?
Hey, hi everybody. Friday or Saturday, whatever day it is for you.
Good Friday.
I'm good. I finished Doom Eternal on my streams, and then I actually Wednesday night went and played Oblivion, the OG. In anticipation of starting Oblivion, the remaster make, whatever it is that is more than likely coming out. So the first half hour of the stream is legit me being super mad and frustrated trying to figure out how to make ancient technology work on modern technology. This the launcher from it, and I should have been playing it from Steam, but I wasn't. I was playing it from the PC Game Pass port. Hey, you stream on a PC. I don't know what to tell you. If Xbox could integrate YouTube like people have been begging for a decade, then it might be a different story. But that's an Xbox thing that they refuse to deal with.
I stream on Xbox.
Google about on Twitch.
Yeah, and on YouTube. So, I stream on everything.
Oh, but
anyway, you keep going.
Or
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Okay, you see, that's just an extra step you don't need to do. You're just doing it to be difficult.
I mean, drivers. Sounds like an extra step. You don't need. I need that ancient software. It just works.
Wow.
16 times the detail.
Well, it worked. It worked. I eventually got it set up and got it going, and I made the most amazing character. Her name is Sherbert. She's quite lovely and the catch of everyone's eye. And so and I had to play on keyboard and mouse because PC Game Pass does not offer automatic controller integration like Steam does. So moral of the story is the PC launcher for Xbox super sucks, which everybody knows, but I'm just reiterating that fact. Other than that, that's it. I mean, I've been playing Borderlands 3 with Donte and Colt. I never actually played Borderlands 3. I played 2 and I love 2 and I just never got to 3. So it's been good. We're trying to get through it right before 4 comes out. So that's it. And I think tomorrow I'm going to stream Tales from the Borderlands, which is one of those Telltale games. So all Borderlands right now. That way I'm not burnt out when Borderlands 4 comes out. And look what I've got in the background.
So
Can you see it? Well, Yep. That's it.
Did you get the helmet?
Maybe.
I don't know if that stuff's available in Australia. There's a lot of stuff that you guys get that we just do not get, which is why when you get charged extra for the Switch because of tariffs, I say welcome to the party. Enjoy. Welcome to Australia's life. You get charged more for the same damn thing. Donte, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Yo.
Is he there? He is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I'm here. Yeah, my week's been it's been good. Can't really complain, I guess. I mean, I can probably come up with something if I want to complain, if I want to start. But no, but I've been playing some South of Midnight. Been playing some Borderlands 3 with Holly and Colt. Been having a blast doing that. Yeah, it actually kind of made me, like, when you go back and play a game you haven't played in a while, you actually start recognizing, like, oh, hey, this was actually better than a lot of people made it out to be. It's still not as good as 2, mainly because the story isn't as good. And probably for me, it's probably one of the primary antagonists that they just made super annoying for some reason. But playing it with a bunch of people is mad fun. And so yeah, finishing that, and then I'm gonna finish Shadows, and yeah, man, what's next? What big game is right around the window besides Doom?
Expedition 33.
33. Okay, yeah. So probably finish up those 2 games and get ready for that, because I definitely want to play Expedition. So yeah, ready to talk some gaming stuff in such an exciting week of nothingness.
Not a lot happened. There was some interesting. There was some interesting things that sort of came up. Like, one of them is I'm in a discussion Twitter. I mean, as much as you can have a discussion on Twitter, it seems that PlayStation, and I'll just briefly touch on this. It's like PlayStation fanboys get really upset about the facts of DRM, like the facts of digital rights management, the ownership thing. Just very specifically, they seem to get really, really upset about it. Because the fact is, you don't own a single game. Like, whether you have it digitally or you have it physically, you don't own that game. That's you bought the license for the access to that game, and at any time, and I'm not saying it's happened often, but at any time, if they decide to pull that game for any particular reason, they can. That's not ownership. Someone can take something off you that you've bought. It's just that's renting. Welcome to the rental service, PlayStation fanboys, but that's probably a conversation for another time. My week, so busy. I've just come up on leave, so I'll be on vacation, as you guys call it, but I'll be on holidays from pretty much yesterday for a week. I'll just get to chill, relax, do nothing. I haven't told the missus I'm taking my Series S to try to finish South of Midnight to Bali, so heading off to Bali should be good. I'm excited. What have we got to talk about? I'll just say to everyone, apologies that I was late. That was 100% my fault. I woke up late. And shout out to all you guys in the chat. Fuck you. New game.
Man, you gotta pronounce the FARC a little bit.
You gotta put the R in
game.
there.
You gotta definitely put the R in there, bro.
Fark you. The Game of Action newscast. Tell us as always, Grey Monad, Bobby Hawk, Biff, Ronaldo, you guys in the chat, Callum Prime, who are chilling and waiting. I really appreciate the support that you guys provide every week. Raichi, Palpatine, all you guys are absolutely fantastic. So thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. Let's jump into this week's topic. Jump into the first topic, which I dropped down a bit further in the thing, but I want to have a sort of chat about this. So earlier in the week, obviously the Oblivion Elder Scrolls screenshots leaked, and I had a quick look at the screenshots. There's not many. There's probably about 4, I think, that I could find online, and to me, they look pretty good, right? I was like, this is what 4 screenshots. There's two initially when I started having the discussion. Eastside Vandal, what's up, man? Good talking to you this week. Just have a look at those 2 screenshots, and I'm like, wow, it's 2 screenshots, highly compressed. Not in 4K, not great shots to sort of judge the game on. I saw that kept moving, and as I kept moving, I think it was it's Alex who I saw, and I'm like. And then someone else I saw complaining about it. And then someone else I saw complaining about it. And I'm like, what is this, man? Like, what is going on here? This game looks okay. Like, I've seen 2 screenshots. I'm not making a judgment. So I can't defend the actual, the the game because I haven't seen it. Like I haven't even seen a trailer for it, right? So, but then I was just confused at the amount of complaining that was going on about how bad this game looks. Oh, it looks all bloomed out. You know, the colors are washed out. Hate it when they do this to games. UE5 sucks, Umbra, which I'm sure that you take umbrage to. You know, UE5 games all look the same. All this shit from based on two. Well, Alex, I know what Alex says that like on a regular basis. But a lot of people.
He's canceled. Thank you.
He's been spreading.
He's dead to me. He's
Exposed.
dead to me.
He's canceled now. Exposed.
Get rid of that, huh?
He's been spreading that misinformation for quite some time. I was just really confused about it, and I put out a tweet that went absolutely batshit, and I didn't think it would. It was just an offhand comment that a lot of gamers just are complaining. And so this is, I guess, what I wanted to talk about. So a little bit about how you guys sort of feel about the imagery, like, you know, does it look good to you? Does it look bad to you? You know, just those specific screenshots. Let's not trash the game because we haven't seen or played it yet. But then also, what's going on in the gaming community that we are so incensed and complain about two screenshots? And the other thing that I saw, and it sort of is a lot of gamers seem to think we don't complain enough. You know, a lot of the comments that I got was like, don't say anything, buy a product, consume product, buy another product. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if there's anyone who's super critical of lots of shit, then that would be like, that's, but when there's something to be critical of, right? And at this point, this is nothing to be critical of. Like, I don't like the look of that screenshot. Like, fine, shut the fuck up. Wait for the game to come out. Is my sort of.
So I saw somebody actually quote tweet you there and showed a different tweet of you where you were calling or saying that you thought Marathon might be DOA. And they were like, oh, look at this hypocrite. And I'm like, well, that's not even the same thing he's saying. He's saying one looks like it might be a DOA because of the pricing and things like that. And that you all are spoiled because you're misjudging things just off a few images.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, Marathon, we saw gameplay. We saw a trailer. There was a trailer. There was screenshots, more than two. And then we were able to watch like people play the game. Like there was creators gameplay and first impressions that were going on. And I watched those.
The most telling part of the whole thing. Is
right.
The gameplay sessions.
Yes, and we're going to jump back to Marathon because that's the thing, but there was actual footage for me to make a fucking judgment. So like that's the weirdness you see on Twitter. It's like and it's like, you know, when there'd be like a room of people looking at someone who just said something really fucking stupid. I feel like we need to get those people like around these Twitter guys who think they've just got an aha on you, and it's like, bro, you what? You haven't got anything. You just didn't say anything there, and you think you've got an aha. Apples are red, aha. Sorry.
Bring shame back is what you're saying. Bring back shame.
I think we should shame people. Yes, absolutely. Shame stupidity. I don't get it. So look, I want to go get a bit of a round on what you guys look. I have never played Oblivion, so I'm pretty excited to play it. It just wasn't up my alley, and my gaming tastes have sort of evolved since early 2000s. So it'll be something I'll play now. I want to check it out. It looked pretty good to me. Umbra, what were your thoughts on it? Do you think it looks okay? And then what do you think about the whole discourse around it? I think it's personally, I think it's nuts.
Yeah, it's a little annoying, but at the same time, I don't care what they're talking about. But I can see why they're saying it, because the original Oblivion does have a more colorful palette, right? It's much more green, more blue, things of that nature. So I can see why they say that. But you know, with the way that I think, from what I've heard, that these images may not necessarily be representative of that kind of brownish, yellowish hue. And it's more like that because of, I forget how it was explained. It was explained on some channel I had watched. It may have been like from previous grabs and things like that. I cannot remember. Or it could, that's what it was. They said it could have been different days of the time because there's a time shift. so it could look, dimmer because of that too in certain instances. I mean, like you said a minute ago, we have to see. I would wait to see more and to see more different times of the day and actual video gameplay before I would jump to any conclusion, if anything. Me personally, though, I don't care if it looks muted or not. I'm on PC. I'm going to mod the hell out of this thing if it doesn't have what I need. Yes, embrace me with the angelic sound. It is going to get modded one way or another by use of whatever mod if I don't care for the color palette. And that's the beautiful thing about it, because you have so many options on PCs to take care of that. So I'll mod it if it's bad enough. That doesn't solve the problem for anybody on Xbox, I suppose, to be fair. But actually, I take that back. I'm sure there'll be mods actually done inside the creation studio which actually will allow for that too, actually. So I'll take that back. That said, the game looks visually great. I mean, it's cool to see also that they can apply it. It actually debunks one of the theories. I don't know if you remember this. We had way back where we were talking about the thought of, can Unreal Engine be placed on top of, for instance, the Blam engine or something like that? Remember that talk? So this right here shows that. Yeah, because this is still the creation engine with Unreal on top of it. This is not a remake fully, it's a remaster. So this is just Unreal applied on top of the creation engine. You see what I mean? So that shows us that Unreal can be applied on top of other engines. So that's another thing I like about it. And it looks, yes, all the all the Unreal goodness. So yeah, so all those beautiful things entail, and also they did a few changes. There are combat changes apparently, different HUD options, things of that nature, possibly accessibility. All that sounds good to me. It wouldn't matter one way or another though. Just simply giving it a visual uplift would have been enough for me, because Oblivion is on my Mount Rushmore of gaming. As long as they don't deviate or haven't had changed anything too majorly as far as, I guess, plot and things. If they didn't mess with anything like that and it's still decent, it's decent lip sync or decent combat has been improved or whatever, they could maybe get up to Skyrim levels or whatever. Hey, I'm all on board. I cannot wait, actually. So we possibly may get it on the 21st. I'm hearing conflicting things. I know it's the week of from Jeff Grubb, but then there's the day of, according to Tom Warren. So I don't know. Either way, I'm expecting that and possibly a developer direct next week. So excited. Cannot wait for the shadow drop.
Yeah, apparently there's that they've added blocking, Souls-like inspired blocking, sneak icons, stamina system's been modified, the HUD's been changed, hit reactions have been added, and archery has been overhauled, amongst a whole bunch of other mechanical updates. So that sounds pretty cool. What do you think about gamers just over in general? Like, do you feel like the gaming community has become a bunch of, and there's no other way to say this, of whiny little bitches that will just cry about the tiniest little thing if it doesn't go their fucking way? Like, is that, do you feel like that's happened, Umbra?
100%. Yeah. I co-sign my brothers. Yes, they have. I mean, it is what it is. And you know what I blame it on, though? I blame it largely, not even just on gamers. I blame this on people outside of us who are just kind of whiny and, you know what I mean? They latch on.
Right. The engagement folks.
Exactly. The engagement folks, the grifted types or the types that are looking for something to be mad about, who have jumped in because of the grifters and are now just kind of here amongst us whining like hoes. So yeah, I think it is a mixture of that. I don't think it's all just gamers. I think it's people just discontent with life and they're just mad. They need some outlet to blame it on, and gaming seems to be it right now.
Yeah, I would sort of agree with that. And there's been a bit of a sentiment I've seen. I think it was Alana Pierce I was watching. Shout out to Alana. We've had our problems. She still loves me. But I think it was Alana Pierce saying that like there seems to be a lot of people who aren't, like, they're not really gamers, right? Maybe they dip in and dip out and they've got a semi-interest in it, but you just see them in the community getting mad about shit that it just doesn't seem like they know what they're talking about, because they're not really in this sort of thing. So yeah, I could definitely see that. And I don't know if I've really seen it. I assume it's hard to sort of spot, right? Because you never know if someone's genuinely a gamer that you're talking to, and then they might say something. And I mean, actually, it's not true. I spotted it last night with a dude who was talking about, when they were talking about DRM, he was like, and I'm like, they could just send an update that makes the game not functional, man. That's how DRM works. And he's like, they can't rewrite the disc. And I'm like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He's got no idea. Donte, definitely want to jump to you. How'd you feel about the looks from Oblivion, the screenshots, and 100% Umbra? It's one of the things I said. Different time of day, could be ambient occlusion, could be lighting changes. It could be anything that's given it a little bit of bloom, right? So there might be a lot of color. There might be a lot of color.
Absolutely.
Donte, how you feeling about the images coming out? The 4 screenshots I think we got, which I think were pretty good, especially that goblin jumping through the air. That's fairly detailed. But how you feel about that? Do you think the gaming community is turning into a bunch of children? How you feel?
I thought they looked fine. I mean, I never got a chance to actually play Oblivion. So to me, I've been interested in this because this will give me an opportunity to jump in, especially hearing about revamping some of the mechanics, right? Because if you play, like, we can just think even like recent games with I'm having a brain fart right now, but Obsidian's recent game about like to have a game with like melee mechanics and not have something like a block feature, right? That would be probably a little jarring. Playing like a game within the same type of vein for Oblivion now to be re-released and them not tweak a few things. So that makes me even more interested in wanting to play it. In terms of the screenshot, I thought it looked fine. I mean, I'm not for sure exactly what people are kind of expecting. I don't think they're gonna. I'm sure there's gonna be considerable resources, but at the same time, it's like you're trying to get something out to kind of satisfy people who are fans of Oblivion, or people who maybe reintroduce people to it, or get people into it who've never tried it. And at the same time, you can't stretch yourself too far because you're trying to also get the next Elder Scrolls out, and whatever you're doing with Starfield, and then eventually for Fallout, right? So I'm not really for sure as to what some people really are expecting in terms of how they wanted it to look. But I think there's a segment of the crowd, of the people within the social sphere, who I don't think they're honest brokers when it comes to, like, no matter what they saw, they're probably going to complain about something, and just kind of like suck the life out of people who actually want to try to enjoy a game. So it's kind of like, wait for something to come out, actually play it, and then if you have something that's critical, by all means, make your critiques then when you've actually got something to I think be honest about. But if you're just looking at screenshots and you're trying to poo-poo on people's stuff because it's what's the name's owned by Xbox now, right? Microsoft owns them, so maybe you're hating on it because of that perspective. There's probably that segment of people out there too that no matter what, they were going to hate on it because it's a Microsoft property. It's there's a thing happening right now, and I think it's getting worse due to the way engagement works and how people get paid for engagement. So it's kind of hard to sort out like who actually feels a certain way versus who's saying something because it's going to get traction and clicks on their Twitter page, So it is what it is.
Yeah, 100%. I think I think we all know accounts or people like that. Maybe that's where I've gone wrong, right? Maybe this channel would be much bigger if I was like, what the fuck is that shit? This bloom? Oh my god, gaming is.
You just gotta say salutations at the beginning of your video.
Salutations.
We'll be honest.
Welcome to this horrible screenshot. I can't believe they fucked it up so bad.
Holly doesn't
Holly doesn't like it. Yeah, well, look. Yeah, I feel. I don't know if it's engagement. I think it's like a cross between a whole bunch. Like yes, there's the engagement guys. Then there's the guys who just are in their mom's basement. They're so fat they got to wash themselves with a rag on a stick. Like everything's like shit for them. What do you mean? Why are you shaking your head like that? Got to get to their parts, man. There. That's why you need a rag on a stick.
That was really,
you got to get to them.
That was really descriptive.
You got to open up those cracks. Anyway, so
what?
You gonna what? But like, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people who are angry out there, right? And then they latch on. they latch on to I wash myself with a rag on a stick. But but like there's a lot of people who latch on to that anger that's just coming from those guys, and I think that sort of it's like this self-feeding monster that's like, you know what I mean? But like shit, man, it's screenshots and they look pretty good. I just had them up on the screen before. They look all right. I don't see a problem with it. You know, 2 screenshots. Who cares? Holly, how you feeling about Oblivion? You excited, obviously, because you are playing the original Oblivion. Sort of get into it. I don't know if I would do that. I'd feel like I'd get halfway through the remake and then be bored because I've already played the other one. But then again,
No,
I haven't seen that.
I only played the first 2 hours or hour and a half or something like that. And in
So you
all
get a feel for the
reality,
updates.
just to see it, how it looked, and I'm not going to play anymore because I'm the type that would go nuts if I played like more than 2 or 3 hours, right? And then had to go do that somewhere else. Like that would bother me. My opinion on it is exactly what Big Mad Mo said. He said, "Man, who cares? Just wait till the damn game comes to Game Pass." He
Right?
said, "You can't tell anything from a screenshot," which is perfectly said. I have been kind of ignoring all of the back and forth about it just because I'm like, dude, whatever. Like the game's gonna come out when it comes out. It's not like I already have anxiety about how many games I currently have working in
Right.
my queue, let
I'm trying to
alone the
get through
ones
Yep.
that
stuff.
I've like still have on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
So I don't need this anytime soon. Like I don't know why they're shoving it in here this week either. I mean, I'm just thinking, yeah, okay, stop. If you're worried about GTA 5 for the fall, there's June, there's July, there's August. Like I just don't know why. It seemed to me like maybe the smarter thing would have been to let Doom release and then release it like June 1st or June 2nd, because they're not going to release anything big before the showcase. They're going to want everything they've got for the showcase. And it would have been past Doom enough, right, to just kind of release this. And then probably most of June is just going to be the showcase and the announcements that come from that. So to me, I don't know why they didn't wait, but
I mean,
they must have
the thing is they haven't like dropped it yet, and it's just it is rumors, right? So I kind of I have to say I'm a little skeptical of it, and I know where it's coming from is reputable. Jeff Grubb and I think others have spoken on it. Nate the Hate on, and that this Spanish account starts with an E, but I can't remember his name. But it seems a weird thing to do to shadow drop this, which could be such a big. I think it's big drop, right? And then with what you look at, like bank it for next year, man. That's what I would say.
I don't know about next year, but yeah.
Well, bank it for the back for the back end.
And I mean, the odds is that the Fallout 3 rumor is probably true as well. So maybe they're planning on doing that one around when season 2 comes out, which I don't know when season 2 drops, if that's later this year.
Do you think they're just
beginning?
Do you think they're just overseeing that? Because I'm like, if you're working on
Virtuous is doing it, I think, not
okay. So there's other studios that are doing these kind of reboots and remakes. Because I can't like, how would Bethesda like? I know they're a very large studio, they're a big studio, but like, if you're working on the next Elder Scrolls, whatever the next DLC is for Starfield, and then you got the next Fallout main game, like who has the time, right? Or you're also like going back and redoing your older games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you look at the time, so I look Outer Worlds 2 is another one where I'm an outlier, and I got to tell you now, that game's getting delayed. Like it's not ready. You look at that, you look at it,
coming out.
It's not.
It's getting delayed. I'm telling you, it's getting delayed.
It's
going to get delayed.
But you're not right.
We had this conversation, right? They don't do a delay. They don't do a direct if they are not ready for release. It hasn't
100% getting delayed.
No,
yeah, it's be delayed. You guys will be like, "Damn it, Riskit was right again."
Let's make a bet on it. Let's make a friendly wager.
All right, let me jot this down. Donte owes Riskit
nothing.
By the way, just something
Props.
that just came out too, which is just a super small ancillary thing. But Nintendo has also announced that amiibos are going up by $10 too.
What's that?
Amiibos are the little. You don't know what amiibos are? Hold on.
Should I? What's that?
Yeah, I have some amiibos.
While she's off,
I like how you like. Should I know about these damn things?
I know, right?
They look like these little miniature things.
Amiibos are like here's Sham. Here's
Oh, okay.
Samus.
So like little
And
figures.
here's Yoshi, right?
Got it.
But
So
they're figurines, but they launch new ones with new games, and you hold the bottom of this up to the Switch, and you get like a special character or a special skin or something that's unique to the NFC thing in the amiibo. So now they're going to be $40 and $30 instead of $20 and $30, which is a lot of money for a little.
Well, one thing you haven't sort of spoken on, but let me get this super chat in because, and then we can jump back to it, is Hamish K with the $5 super chat. Shout out to Hamish. Absolutely said people can critique stuff when it turns out. People can critique stuff, but when it turns to getting mad and stuff, that isn't healthy. Healing is what he wrote, but he meant healthy. That isn't healthy. To me, it looks better than other remasters I've played before. Yeah, look, and I'll agree, man. I think the gold standard still is Resident Evil 2. I mean, that jump, obviously, from the original Resident Evil 2 to like how good that game was, like polished, looked amazing, the whole bit, the updates they made around it mechanically, the updates they made to the story, like was just like first class, gold standard. But this looks good, but I don't know if it looks better than anything. Like it's 2 screenshots. Like, I mean, that goblin, if you look at that screenshot's compressed as shit. It's probably in about 720, might even be in 360p. But if you look at the detail, the goblin jumping through the air, it looks really, really good. And if that's an action shot of gameplay, I'm like, that's cool.
I think the screenshots look fantastic. They had another one today with like a cave door or something like that, right? And then I don't know, I thought they all looked great. I would be more than happy with something like that. The only thing I worry about is I was ridiculously excited for the Dead Rising remaster that came out last fall. Dead Rising is like one of my favorite series, and it's practically unplayable. Like the fidelity upgrade, it was all right. It's an old game. I don't, it's fine. But the controls were horrendous. Horrible, and they're still horrible. Just like Ninja Gaiden 2, right? The Shadow Drop in June, or January, sorry. The
Agreed.
controls on that are wonky as all get out, right? So my concern is, are the controls good enough for modern day gamers, right? So because like you could get over the graphics looking, a little dated, but when controls are just not there, it ruins the experience, right? You'll stop playing over the controls much faster than you would graphics.
I think Donte went Shinobi just to support your Ninja Gaiden. Oh, he's back.
I dropped smoke. I dropped the smoke, and
oh man, I love that gift. It's one of my favorite gifts of all time. The dude who he's like full dressed up as a ninja, and then he's out in the open, and then he drops the smoke, and the smoke like just drifts away, and he's still standing there, and he's like, oh. I love that. I don't know what that's from, but it's so good.
That's how I feel right now. Actually, that's how I feel because
so good. I'm just gonna shout out another member for 10 months. Member for 10 months. Hollander Grim 0351 says, "Evening, everyone. Appreciate the support, Hollander Grim." So, Holly, how you feeling about the critique, the conversation? I know you said like at the beginning briefly you don't really care, but like, do you think that gamers have become oversensitive? Like, what's going on out there? Why are we complaining about nothing? What happened?
think it's a much longer conversation than, you know, a short
So let's have
and
it.
it's probably
Let's
one
have
that
it.
well, it's one that I don't really want to get into. But I mean, I think it's something that we've talked about before. I think that the video games industry is very unique, that the development crews interact with fans and other people on Twitter in ways that no other industry does, and I think that that probably can foster some problems, particularly when people are using their accounts for personal stuff, right? Or personal
Mhm.
statements, which, you know, that's kind of a, you know, positive, negative, depending on, I guess. I mean, it's your personal account, but also the reason that you have the followers that you do is because you have a certain role at a certain company, right? So then there's some sort of tie to protecting your employer's reputation, right?
Yeah.
Because of your connection to that employer, and the reason people are following you is because of your employer, right? Um and then also I think that the world itself is in a unique political landscape, and there's been a lot of um frustration
Uniqueness. Okay.
by people, or frustration in the world, just period. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of the nicest people that you do know too in real life, they vent or they hold up all of their frustration, right? They don't deal with it in real life, and then they go and they rage on whatever social media platform that they want to, because they feel like they're anonymous, which is silly, right?
Yeah.
But it does happen because they don't deal with their own real life in real life. Um and then of course there's a subsect of people who are just looking to make some money off of anything. So, um, and then I think there are people who are just really frustrated with the world, and the world entering into their hobby, and then
Yep.
they,
Great.
you know, they get frustrated and they go online and they complain about it. And the difference between complaining about Snow White the movie, let's say, just as an example, it could be anything, right? But we'll just use that. Like, complaining about Snow White on Twitter into the void, nobody responds except other people who are mad or complaining about it, right? You go on Twitter and you complain about the price of the Nintendo Switch. No, that's not a good example. You go on Twitter and you complain about
Screenshots from Elder Scrolls Remake.
you complain about Call of Duty, and you get enough of an audience, because I saw somebody who does today. I just saw somebody who has been really taking a lot of shots at Call of Duty, and they got blocked by Treyarch today. But take that a step further, they complain about a specific game, and then a game development person gets in their feelings and forgets that they're representing their company, right? And then takes a shot back at them. So that dynamic is probably not super healthy. Um I don't know. Everybody has a right to their own opinions, and it's okay to kind of just go on Twitter and say that game sucked. Like, that's your right to do all of that, right? But you know, when you start personally attacking people, or when you start you calling people names, or using like
Yeah.
lowbrow, you know, conversation in your argument, it just goes into the void and you seem like an angry person who doesn't have a point, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, and I do like, even any kind of discourse, like there's going to be people who are going to say some messed up stuff. Like, but I try not these days. Way back I did, but now I try not these days to respond with. I try to get to a point where we can actually have a conversation. Like, sometimes you can get past that, like the initial insults, and be like, all right, let's try to have this conversation because I'm actually here in good faith, you know. And then when you realize, if you try that and then they just come back with
That you matured?
with you,
Calling people
yeah,
names, calling
Is that what you're
things
saying? You've matured
names,
over the years
using
as you've gotten older?
using low behavior.
as a gotten older, definitely.
Is
Hey,
that-
but even with Twitter, like my first response, because my first response in life is like, if someone was to say, get a bit messed up face to face. It never really happened, but if they did back in the day, like, you know, you'd go at them straight away. And then when I first went to Twitter, that's what I would do. But now I'm just like, man, I do not need this in my life, you know. But I'll try to have the conversation, try to get to a point of understanding if it's possible. And sometimes it just isn't. Look, it's a bit disappointing, and it's not just super disappointing for me. And realistically, it doesn't affect me if someone bitches about a screenshot. It was just an observation that I made that I'm like, why is everyone like this? And I guess who I feel for is the developers, you know what I mean? Because you're out there, you're doing your best work, you know, and I can relate to this, like in a past life being a chef. You know, you're doing your best work, you put it out, you think it's like awesome, you know, and then this never happened to me because my shit was awesome. But like then the feedback comes back, you know, and it's less than complimentary, you know, and that's, when you put your heart and soul into something, that's, you know, that's a little bit painful. So, you know, but that's sort of my thing is like, what happened to the gratefulness? What happened to the excitedness? What happened to the hype? You know what I mean? Like, and you know, if you look back at where we've come from in gaming, you know, we came from Pong, which is 2 lines on a screen, a line in the middle and a little dot, right? You know, and then it's ba-doop, ba-doop. That's where we came from, you know, and then we've sort of progressively moved on to. And one of the things I wonder is like, you know, a lot of the guys in gaming these days, are they just not old enough? And I hate to sound like a graybeard, like, you know, in my day. But
that aspect is true. They don't have that appreciation.
Old enough
right?
to remember.
They've only seen games with, you know, like high fidelity, right? Like since they've been gaming, they've seen like that era of games with high fidelity. So they don't have that kind of appreciation for, you know, playing something like Pong or you know, like Atari, Nintendo, etc. when it first came out, right? So it's like, I think when that happens, you become, I don't know, you don't have the same
entitled
type of respect. There's an entitlement there to a degree, for some people, and then some people just love to embrace apathy and become, you know, they love feeding off the negative emotion. So like that person I feel sorry for, you know, and that's the ones like I try my best to ignore within social media, or someone who's specifically trying to do the grift. I think social media, the promise of it has not lived up to, you know, what we would have wanted, right? Because I was excited by the idea of coming in and, you know, being able to share an enjoyment of certain hobbies, be it film and gaming with people, and have like honest conversations. And instead, it, you know, for the most part, it becomes like, you know, 70% kind of negative about these topics, and then 30% of people actually trying to share their love of the hobby, and that's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, and that is the thing. You know, and then there's a whole lot of different sects. You know, there's console war stuff that feeds into it, and there's culture war stuff that feeds. There's always a war. There's some sort of war feeding into something. There's culture war stuff feeding in. There's all this stuff.
Coke
just
versus Pepsi. It's really
yeah. Apple versus Google. Like, you know,
that's so
all
silly.
that
Which one do y'all
Samsung.
drink? Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coke.
All right, that's the only correct answer.
That's the only
okay.
correct answer.
You guys
Agreed.
are fine.
My son disagrees.
where's
like he
Umbra?
said, he's sleeping. You can hear him in the back. You can just hear him in the background with the.
Did you even ask me? I'm right here.
He's sucking air. He's sucking air.
I was like, did he fall asleep? Umbra.
I dead ass was asleep. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
But whenever he gets called out for it, he wakes up. It's weird. He's like, "Shit, I'm being called out."
Yeah, what the hell?
It's just responding to hearing your name. Like if he has his headphones on, he can hear your name, and your name makes you go, "Oh, what?" You know.
Right.
Someone's calling.
So the best way to get me to come back in is Umbra sleep, and I'll be like, "Huh? No, I'm here." That's the best way from now on.
Coke or Pepsi? Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Oh snap!
Oh.
We have an outlier.
Pepsi.
We
is
have an outlier.
Yes, I love me some Pepsi. I will drink Coke though, but yeah.
My son says. My son said.
Together, but
and he looked this up because we had a massive argument about it. He looked this up. He was like, Pepsi in blind taste tests tastes better. I'm like, nah, it doesn't. No way, not a chance. And he looked it up, and I have to say, he found, and I'm a Coke guy, he's found studies to show.
He found actual evidence, you're saying. A blind taste
actual
test
evidence
upon which
and blind
Pepsi
taste
won.
test.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My
See?
problem
Yeah.
with it
I mean,
is that
they're still both
Pepsi
good, to be
loses
quite
its
honest.
fizz in like half an hour.
Seconds.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
It's like
And
gone.
Coke, you could pick it up tomorrow and it is still as fizzy as
Shake it up a little
when
bit.
you
And it's like,
cracked it open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put a Mentos
That's the
in.
biggest problem.
I got to test that out
Clean
and
a penny.
see how that works out. I mean, I don't give it enough time to do all that. I've been drunk it up by that point, but yeah, I don't know.
That's
Maybe
why I
it's
don't
just-
get stubby holders. So you guys know what stubby
Yeah.
holders are?
I have the slightest idea
yes.
what that is.
Is that a koozie?
So a stubby holder, it's like it's neoprene. You know what
It's
a
a
wetsuit's
koozie.
made of? You guys
we call
know
them
what a
koozies here.
okay
We call them koozies.
koozie. Okay. And you put it over your can. I'm like, my beer does not last. If I have a can of beer,
wait,
it is
they call
doesn't
it a
last
stubby
long
holder?
enough. It's a
Stubby
stubby holder, yeah. Because a bottle of beer, right? So you guys have different. So we have a stubby, which is
Bless
a
you, I'll
bottle
show ya.
like that's 500 mil.
Okay.
And then we have a King Brown, and that's like a liter.
I like that.
Um,
I like that name for it.
yeah.
King Brown. I like
Instead
that.
of a 40.
But wait. I mean,
Yeah.
is it because like King Brown because of brown ale or something like that? Or
No,
like, why is it
because
called King
back
Brown?
in
Like our King Brown
back in
snake.
The
the day,
glass brown?
the glass
Like the
was
brown-
brown back in
Oh,
the day.
okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
like you call it King Brown, and you must have that in a paper bag. You know what I mean? Like you could be the
brown,
most.
We call brown bagging it is what we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that. You have to do that. You can't be walking out with just one. If you walk out with just one, it has to be in a brown bag. So you're
Yeah.
making a statement. It's like,
Yeah.
this is getting drunk, but I don't want you to see what it is. You know what it is, but I don't want you to know what it is, right?
That's
That's-
the guy
it's-
who I definitely like me now. Like now, back then I didn't think about it, but me now, if I saw that, I'm like, that guy's not going anywhere in life. The guy outside the liquor store, guy, brown bag it. I'd be judging the hell out of that guy right now. Like, that guy's not going anywhere.
You see
But that
Palpatine.
was me in my younger
You see
20s
Palpatine wrote-
walking out the.
Hey,
So I was
Riskit.
incorrect.
I
about
like
judging
Palpatine right
folks.
there.
A long neck. Yep, it's a long neck. Yep.
Yeah, we have those. We
Uh,
call them long necks here.
Yeah. We have those.
Sounds like it could double as a flashlight. Good.
Goddamn. Got something for your stubby.
I had Biff Rinaldi up with celebrates 5 months of membership. Shout out to Biff, absolute legend. Had him on the show. We have to get him on back again soon. Says started on the NES in '89. Graphics came a long way. Yeah. I mean, but there's still some. This is the thing. There's still some. I mean, look at Mario Wonder, right? There's still some validity to that side-scrolling sort of the limitations that they had to deal with, where they instead of like trying to push graphically, what they would do is get graphically to that point, and then they would mechanically try to push the game, right? So I think there's a little bit of that loss too. Look, there's issues with the gaming like industry the way it is. But I think we have it way better than we ever thought. I mean, if you look back, the stuff that I used to say to my best mate, maybe you guys are different, but the stuff that I used to say to my mates is like, imagine if this cutscene was like the game, how good that would be. And now the cutscenes from back in the 360, the 2001 era games, the games look way better than those cutscenes. You know what I mean? Like that would be so cool, and you'd be like, yeah, toke on the J.
The stuff we imagine, like when you were playing, like Nintendo and Sega Genesis, the stuff that you imagine for where you would hope gaming would be, but you even then you probably thought like it would never get there, right? And I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool? And then you start seeing when they started doing like CGI trailers and stuff, and you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they're able to start getting games to look kind of close to what you would see in some of the CGI trailers that they were doing for video games. So like, and even that is, getting close now, right? Where you've seen certain games where you're like, it's a seamless blend between the cinematic going into the gameplay, right? We saw, what's names did that a lot with Gears. So it's like, yeah, I mean, to me, that gives me like a profound respect and appreciation for how much the craft has grown. Right, because I came from literally playing on an Atari and playing Pong to seeing the evolution. So I've seen this whole thing unfold, and it's just kind of like, yeah, it's I think it's a miracle what these creators are doing. Like I'm playing South of Midnight, and I was just like the art style in that game is like really, really beautiful. It's one of those things about how art style can completely just make a game pop. Even more so than how much fidelity a game has. And I was just sitting up there just thinking like the amount of work that it takes for developers to go and create that stuff. Like I don't know, I just don't think that they get enough credit, to be quite honest. I think people just kind of take what they do for granted to a degree. Where I'm like, that takes a lot of time and effort and dedication to basically
Right?
craft these worlds for us to go play in.
To
But yet then
3D the
people play
art, right?
Vampire Survivors and they're like, this game is amazing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean,
there's
and because there's something to be said about gameplay, right? I get that. Like, that should always matter.
right.
But there's also something to be said about crafting a really beautiful world, right? Or
Yes.
crafting,
Yeah.
all the mechanics behind it, right? So whether you're crafting the world and then the mechanics of what the player is able to do within the game, like that stuff is pretty in depth, right? And I think enough, like you say, entitled. I think there's a segment of gamers who are just kind of like they've always known it, so they just expect it. And if one developer isn't doing something that the other developer did, then all of a sudden they're getting shit. And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you just think about like the art when you're dealing with art, I mean, if you've seen Mythic Quest, which is a shame that it got they canceled the season, but if you see the artist, the amount of I'm not going to swear because I know that Kay's 8-year-olds watching but the amount of stuff that he cops, just to get that art into the game. You're thinking about this, you're drawing a picture and you've made it into a 3D world, like. It's actually kind of amazing what gets achieved, by tiny studios as well as the really big studios. I just think people should be a little bit more grateful. Sometimes, you know what I mean. And that's not to say, that's not. I get called Jack Black all the time. I don't know why that is, but it's true. Shout out to Kay and Kay's 8-year-old daughter. But yes, I get called Jack Black at work and all sorts. Yeah, crazy. Ray Jack Black. Sorry.
Is that your Jack Black
Dude,
impersonation? Was that?
I'll have to do a Jack. I'll have to like watch and then like do a Jack Black impersonation video because it'll be funny.
Move your hands around like you're sprinkling something and be like, "How many? Yeah." You remember that?
How many? Yeah. Yeah, that's not to say just consume product. I'm not saying that. I got a lot of that. I got a lot of people just like obviously valid critiques and stuff. Games aren't in a vacuum. We have come so far, all that sort of stuff. But like with a little bit of just respect for the craft, I think as well is a important thing.
Yeah, like I get like, hey, this game really, really buggy, not performing well, right? Crashing right. my device or my computer quite a bit. Or like, this is a cash grab, right? And it's very uninspiring. Those are to me legitimate types of critiques. Can't get that from a screenshot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you cannot.
There's a screenshot and we're telling you what the new mechanics are that we're putting into it. Wait till the game comes out and then have at it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You're just poo-pooing off the screenshots. Like, all right, that tells me either you really just want to hate it, or I don't know, man, you're super hard to please because I can't grasp anything from a screenshot.
I mean, I think it's obviously Holly quickly jumped to you, but also like I think in I know it's Alex's case, and I've got nothing against Alex before we end up in a war on Twitter or something, but like. But I think in it's Alex's case, confirmation bias, the guy does not like UE5. He's like, every game looks the same, blah, 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 blah. And he's going to do and say things that are just going to confirm that bias. And I feel like that's what he sort of did. One of his posts was part of the trigger for me to make my post. But Holly, you were going to say?
No, I was just going to say, and then there's also, a certain subsect of people that are content creators that do this from the technical aspect, right? Like Digital Foundry or Alex's review of Atomfall was fantastic, right? And that's just because I really like Atomfall, and so I was partial to his but he sat and he like did this full analysis.
Did you just do that because you said it confirmed your bias from the game?
Yes.
So it was fantastic. God dang it, Holly.
But well, it's just one example, but like
it's more
so for Digital Foundry, but I'm just calling that out too because he did Alex did this technical video about
you talking about Bataglia.
Like
that Alex? Not
no, it's Alex.
Oh no, it's Alex. Okay, yeah. All right.
He did he did a technical video for Atomfall and really broke down like how perfectly optimized the game was compared to like everything else that comes out these days, right? He was hitting like 200-300 FPS, right? With full resolution, native, not upres, the whole thing, right? So he was just talking about, how well it was put together. But anyway, so my point is like the digital foundries or even like Skill Up, right? For example, they're going to do an honest review and they're going to do particular parts of the review that are going to call out these things, not because they're discouraging or trying to poop on the game,
Right.
right? But just to point out, like, technically, these things all aren't so great.
Yeah.
That shouldn't affect anybody's actual enjoyment of a game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
No,
Like,
I agree. And to me, I think that's the fair stuff, right? That's like,
right,
hey, I've been playing this, I've been seeing this type of behavior, or these settings don't work as well, or it struggles. Like to me, that kind of makes sense. And if it's like really pronounced throughout the whole playthrough of the game, that can overall impact your feeling on the game, right?
right,
In terms of like
right.
if it's constantly crashing or if it's constantly starting to slow down
Yeah.
and stutter,
Like
right? So
Starfield, like the constant loading screens and Starfield crashed all the time. It crashed my Xbox a lot.
yeah,
Like
the loading
I
times
had
really
to wind up
bother
doing
me.
a hard reset on my Xbox altogether, right? Because of the anyway.
Yeah.
No other game's done that. But it's just the point of, yeah, those things to your point, right? Like they do affect your overall perception or experience that you're having. Right.
Yeah.
I went out last Friday night and had a hard reset. Sorry.
Mm.
You can tell it. You can tell when Dante's got that face and no one's laughing that it was a great joke. I just saw
That's
this in the chat. I just saw this in the chat. Cullen Prime says some people hate UE5 and some people love it, but like, and this is probably going to be a bit of a shot at Umbra, so you might want to wake up and defend himself. But I don't understand how you can hate. I can understand how you can see the value of an engine, right? Or you can. I just don't understand how you couldn't even see the value of it. Like, there's just an inherent value that makes development easier, right? And not every game is the same nor looks the same. South of Midnight does not look the same as Immortals of
Avowed.
Avium, yeah, or Avowed, right?
Yeah.
So they're very different looking games. You can create very different art styles with very different mechanics, and to a layman, someone who doesn't know that these games are made with UE5, they wouldn't know that this is the same engine. So I understand how you can hate the engine. Like, why do you hate the engine? So and then you're already going into that game, whichever game it is, with this inherent like, I'm already gonna not like this about the game because it's made in this engine. I think it's a weird stance to have. Like, but then on the other side of the coin, loving UE5, I guess I'm sort of having this thought as like live. I guess I can understand that because what you're doing is enabling easier development, more games, quicker development time. You've got an industry standard sort of way to code, all that sort of stuff, all the benefits of UE5. I can understand how people like are sort of for it. I don't understand how you can hate it because it's this.
There's one thing I would say about this, and I agree with you with what you're saying. The only thing I would say is kind of to what Holly mentioned earlier. So say for someone like Alex who is familiar with the technology. So like, because there are certain games that use UE5 that I can look at it and say, okay, yeah, I can definitely see that that's made within that engine, right? There are things that you can see in terms of like, especially things outside in terms of the landscape and stuff, right? The way the nanite technology and all that stuff works, where you can say, okay, I can see that. Same thing as Umbra. What's the engine that Shadows is using?
It's using the Anvil engine.
Anvil engine, right? So it's like the main thing I would say about like using UE5 is to make sure that you're differentiating from, like, in terms of where all the games don't kind of look like, oh yeah, I can definitely immediately call that out if I'm someone who is pretty attuned to that. And Alex is, right? He's attuned to be able to see like, oh, I can tell what engine this is compared to like the layman. The layman's probably not going to care. There's going to be like, does this game look good or not, right? Is it a cool looking game? Does it perform well? But someone who's probably paying attention to that, I can understand if they're just saying, okay, I'm starting to see a whole industry just using the same engine, and I'm not seeing that much separation where I can see like the Assassin's Creed games looks completely different, obviously, compared to like Avowed or anything else that the UE5 is using, and it's because of the engines, right? You can tell that difference in terms of like how the artwork is and just basically the landscapes and stuff. And I think it's still important to have those nice differentiators, so that way you don't feel like everybody's just doing kind of like we're all just working within the same thing, and we're not really putting forth enough effort to make our game stand out compared to the next one. So I kind of understand where he's coming from, but to hate, I don't get that, because it's just still boiled down to, okay, if you're working with UE5, does the game look good? Does it perform well? Does it have good mechanics? Are you getting the most out of the engine, right? Regardless of the fact that a lot of people in the industry are using the engine, it's like, how is the game? That should be, to me, the kind of the grading post. So if you're automatically coming in and you're like, okay, well, this game has already received -5 points because it's using UE5, then to me, I think, yeah, you're being a little bit disingenuous.
Yeah, I think they're getting it mixed up. I agree with you. What's paramount is the game delivering? Was it getting delivered right? Right. Was it getting delivered well? And most case use of Unreal is that obviously is being used well. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep using it. And it's the most used engine in gaming, next to Unity. So like, well, I don't understand. Now I can understand people saying that it has certain shortcomings. Yes, Unreal Engine greatness, but I can understand some people feeling a way. And me, trust me, me and Kay have had these debates. He's had to try to bring me down a bit on over glazing, I suppose people would say, Unreal, and because he doesn't want it the market to be saturated with just games using that versus other engines that could be used, other proprietary engines from Microsoft, etc. He would like id Tech to be used more by Microsoft and other things like that. And I do understand that better now, especially after playing Shadows and seeing just how magnificent the Anvil engine is. I cannot stop singing its praises. But so I do get that point too. But I would side with Donte here. Is one, the games, even if you can see certain tales that say, hey, this is Unreal Engine that did that, did the game come out good or great? That's ultimately what matters. I don't care what engine you use. If you use, freaking, I don't know.
There goes that money. Careful. Be careful.
Right. Let me say this carefully. Epic is the best, however. But if you use if you use whatever, as long as you deliver as long as the deliverables are great at the end of the day, I couldn't care less. So I think I agree with you on that, Risk. It's silly to have this I'm against this engine or anti-engine thing. Like, who even thinks like that? Yeah, even if you can spot it, I don't get that. Yeah, it's weird to me.
But and also,
I'll say sorry, Riskit, just one quick thing. Yeah. For Microsoft, like their last 3 major games that have released are using that particular engine, right? So you got Avowed, you got Hellblade, and I'm missing one. Help me out. What was another one that's using this particular?
Avowed, Hellblade, South of Midnight.
Oh, it's a ton of them. Gears, everything, a lot of games, yeah.
Yeah, and all of the last 3 that have released, for the most part, like those games are performing really, really well, right? In terms of like the games, like, I'm not seeing a whole bunch of bugs. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of issues with frames and stuff like that. At least not for me playing on the Series X.
Right.
So to me, like that's hats off to them, because it seems like the developers are basically getting a good understanding of it, and we're getting better performative games in the process. So would we rather like, oh, we'll use the different engine and good, you didn't use UE5, but why's your game stuttering so much, right? Like, I would rather like, hey, these games are working properly on the hardware, and so I don't feel like I'm missing out on something because the developer didn't quite know the engine. So
right,
and that's what the point I was going to make is if you get the game, if the game comes out looking similar to another game, the game comes out not performing. I mean, at the end of the day, you really shouldn't be blaming. I mean, each engine has its faults, right? But like, you really shouldn't be blaming the engine. You should be that's more on the development team. Like, let's be honest, that's what it is. Same with Unity, man. If people are using Unity or people are using Anvil, and the game has some issues, there's obviously some things in there that the engine could be responsible for, but then your development team didn't have the talent to work that around, or didn't have the time or the resources, or there's lots of things to blame there, you know what I mean? But it's not just the specific engine as to why these games look the same, or that game looks the same as that game, or we use procedural generation on this and we didn't on this, and that's why, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit more of a nuanced conversation. This is why I don't understand how you can just hate an engine. You're like,
No, I
this
agree
engine is
100%.
trash.
100%. Look, for example, look at the wizards behind Gears of War. I go back to them. Look how magnificent the engine plays when they do it for Gears. There's no issues. The whole screen tearing argument that people use, you don't hear that complaint in Gears. Look at Black Myth Wukong with Game Science on their first major game, coming from a mobile developer, and it might have issues. However, look how great that game turned out with that engine. And so it allows for so much too, even with developers who might have a limited budget, they can do so much and so quickly. So it's a lot of benefits to the engine too, but I just don't understand having this kind of negative or anti view of an engine. Maybe if you want more usage of other engines, that's fine. I just don't see how you would, be like, oh, this engine is at fault.
The argument's there to say, like, and it is one of the arguments I used early on when we I mean, I'm talking years back, I think 2021, maybe 2022, we were talking about this, but is like, I would also like to see other proprietary, and if we cast your mind back to Pete as well, like, I would like to see other proprietary engines from not just from Microsoft, but from all studios get a little bit more development time, you know what I mean? But it's expensive to develop that for little to no reward, you know what I mean? So like, you're developing an engine to develop the game, which means you're generally developing something that you can use so it has value down the line, but you're doubling your development time, to build an engine and build the game at the same time, which is way more problematic and time consuming and resource consuming than just using an engine that already sits there. But I would like to see a little bit more of that. Yeah, you can make that argument, but I don't think
because I know who we're talking about, but like, if he or anyone else who comes out and has that particular critique, if they can say the reason why I don't like everyone using this one is because this game, they had this feature that they wanted to put into it, but the engine doesn't have the ability to do this feature pretty well, right? And they had to cut that from the game. Like, that to me is like, okay, that's a legitimate type of critique, right? Where it's like, oh, that would have been a really, really cool feature, but the game has the engine has a shortcoming there where it doesn't do that really well, so therefore they have to cut it out. To me, that makes more sense versus just saying that, like, okay, everyone's using that engine, and it, because like, all the games don't look the same. Yes, there's things you can look at that says, yes, these are I can see these markers that you're using this particular engine, but there's 3 different games that have their own distinct type of visual flair between South of Midnight, Avowed, and Hellblade, and I think that's that's what I would want, right? So it doesn't look like everyone's just basically doing the same thing and cutting and pasting the assets.
Yeah, 100%. But it's just I think if you've got reasons why this is not good, instead of just a blanket, I don't like UE5 and that's it sort of thing, I think that's a little bit of a weird stance. We got to definitely jump to the next topic, because we've been on this one. This was sort of was developmental as we went. I think I did miss a member chat, but if I did, please just shout it out, drop it down in the chat there, and I'll catch it up. Hit the like button, share us out. We go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday. If I wake up on time, because today I didn't, unfortunately. I had a bit of a tough week. I want to talk a little bit about Marathon, because you guys have got access to the closed alpha, but that's not gone live yet, as I understand it. Is that correct, Holly?
I don't think so. I think it's tomorrow. I think it starts tomorrow, maybe. I didn't get it.
Okay.
I didn't get the access. I wanted to, but they didn't pick me, I guess.
Okay. Well, look, we'll just end this poll, and I'll say that 95% of people said that the Oblivion remake looked good. So yeah, I think it's 95% of people out of 38 votes. So not a huge sample size, but I mean, that's a pretty, you can imagine that number would expand out exponentially as you go higher. But I had a look at this Marathon, and I get a little bit of flack on absolutely every tweet that I tweet. I think Donte's going to drop back in, but I guess from looking at, and this is not from 2 screenshots, this is from looking at the trailer, listening to the developers and an interview with Skill Up, watching the the gameplay previews from a couple of different guys. I think that I still this I think this game is DOA. For a couple of reasons, and a lot of people are sort of highlighting the price, and it's not that, because I think if this game was doing something that was different, that was bigger, that was better, that had a little bit more to it, I think that the price isn't a problem. What I think the problem is, this is just another extraction shooter. The graphical style really isn't for me, but I think I heard a lot of people saying they like that, and I'm like, cool, that's cool, but it's not doing anything that is different. And there's already, these games already exist in the market and have audiences that are popular. They've already built up libraries of skins, of they've already leveled up their characters. All that stuff is sort of, they've already got. So what is that? And there's not an excessive amount, there's not a huge amount of content here, right? So there's so much going against this game. I don't understand this move from Bungie, a company that has sort of made its bones on PvE, just to leave out a PvE element, because I think that would be the differentiating thing. And I think later on they might track to it. I think they'll realize and go, we should have done this. But I don't see this lasting out. I don't think Concord level of failure, but I really think it's DOA. And I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. I don't want, the last thing I want is for this game to fail, because then I really do believe that Bungie's days are numbered. So that to me would be absolutely just an absolute tragedy. Like a storied developer, the developer of Halo, the developer of Destiny, to have one miss, and let's be honest, it would be one miss out of a hit after hit. To have one huge miss and then be done. And then be absorbed into PlayStation, which would be even worse. I could think of anything worse. Imagine being absorbed into PlayStation. Anyway, but in all seriousness, yeah, I don't think there's not much positive I can say about it. The gunplay apparently is top tier, which you would expect. But I just don't think you can save a game out of top tier. So I guess it's a very negative view, so I apologize, guys, in the chat, but that's just sort of how I feel about it from everything I've seen, and I haven't played it. Holly, did you obviously you had a chance to look at it, you were keen for the alpha. How are you feeling about how this is going to go? I am going to dip out for 2 seconds because I just have to pour some more coffee into my huge cup.
Dip.
But yeah, I'll be listening, and how you feel about how things are looking.
Yeah, dip in there, Holly.
Marathon is such an interesting adventure. I actually have a lot of thoughts about Marathon. I put out a tweet about it. I guess there's a lot of ways you can talk about it. Extraction shooters are a genre. they're a very specific genre. They are going to be going up against some of the big boys, like Escape from Tarkov is a huge one, and also Hunt Showdown is one that's pretty well known. The problem, the biggest problem I see right now, there's a few things, but one of the problems is that it's not free. A game that is all live service, all multiplayer, without a campaign or without PvE, not launching for free in this market. I feel like Sony should have learned this lesson, that that's a really hard thing to do. I think Helldivers has kind of emboldened them to keep trying this method, but Helldivers was sort of unique. It has a different aesthetic, it has a different style, it's just a different thing. And attracted a lot of people. But this is in a market that's already flooded with a lot of multiplayers that are free, or on a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus, or those kinds of those services, but it really should be free. They could monetize the ever living F out of all of the rest of it, and that would be fine. But the fact that it's a premium but not $70 probably means it's $40. And from what I saw of it, I'm not sure that I want to pay $40 to try it. I want to try it. I want to like it. Um Couple issues that I saw with the actual gameplay from Dr. Lupo and the others that he was playing with was the fact that when they were showing them sniping, a lot of it was focused on sniping, right? A lot of them were sniping, which is fine. But they were like, "Oh, look at that." And they were sniping at somebody. I couldn't see them because there is this fog kind of like all over the screen and everything is this white, beige, gray except for the highlighter colors, right? It looks like a kid's highlighter score that's been put on the characters, which I didn't like the aesthetic originally, but now I do. I do like it. But it's just so monotone in the world that I feel like it's really hard to see what's going on around you. So I feel like that's concerning. Um, the other thing I am a little hesitant about is the fact that if they are launching this in premium, it's definitely not a finished product because they only have, so it's like a hero extraction shooter because there are certain like operators, you would call them operators in Call of Duty, but the heroes, they have I think 6 heroes to begin with, and I think they said there's more coming, but then they only have 3 or 4 maps at launch, and that's fine if you have these games live and die by their roadmap. So you need to have new content consistently pumping out for these games. Like if
Yeah.
you are only going to have 3 or 4 maps to start with, then you need to have it out there that in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you're going to add one more map, or you're going to add 4 more heroes, or you're going to add, like what that is and how consistent it's going to be. Because to be honest, 3 maps, that's not a lot. Now there might be big maps you probably load in at different locations depending on, how it loads in. But I don't know. um 3 maps, 3 or 4 seems like not that much. And then the other thing is, to your point earlier, Riskit, is the fact that they said, um, after the original showcase, they said, "What about your Destiny 2 players who are interested in trying your next game and they don't really like the grind of, you know, doing these kinds of." They said, "This game isn't for you." It was just flat out like, "This game isn't for you. I don't think you should play it. I don't think you should try it." And there's there's something with multiplayer that I will say a lot of people are just intimidated by it, right? They get in, they get really frustrated because they die really quickly because there are like a good chunk of people who play multiplayer
The people who know like
only
it.
play multiplayer all the
Right.
time, right? So then
Yeah.
you get murked like constantly and then you don't want to play. Like you try it and you're like, "Oh, I just die all the time. I don't want to do this," right?
Yeah.
Which is that whole dynamic about, skill-based matchmaking and all that stuff, right? But that is a part of multiplayer, right? Is that if you don't allow like the casual players who don't play that often to feel a sense of accomplishment in a game, they're not going to come back, right? So for the players that are a little more uncomfortable with PvP, it's nice to have some modes that are PvE so that they can go in, they can gear up a little bit, they can level up, do all of that stuff, right? And then jump into a PvEBP mode where they can, shoot their shot at trying to take off a few people, right? And extract and all of that stuff successfully. I do think that is it's unfortunate probably for the more casual player who wants to get into this. And then the other big problem is anybody who is a Bungie fan coming from Destiny and is willing to do this, and a lot of other people too, is at the end of a season, they completely wipe your entire inventory and you start all over again from
Wait,
scratch.
what?
hmm
So forcing you to have to basically start the progression all over again and
Regrind
do the
all
grind.
over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
So, those are my opinions on Marathon. I want to like it. I want to try it. I'm sure the gunplay is top notch, right? But I am really worried about the visibility on the maps. I thought that was really concerning. The lack of color on the maps, I feel like, is also like a visual problem for the long haul. Um, and then the wiping your inventory, and just and they'll tell us more, I'm sure, right, over the next couple months or so, but like the lack of a roadmap for the fact that it's not a free game, I feel like is also a big problem.
Yeah, I think absolutely everything that you said there is my problem with it, and that barrier that you've put up is the price, and I think a lot of people are, that is the roadblock, I think, to this game having its success. And it's a pity, like you said, they used they're probably writing off the success of Helldivers 2, and I think it's a very different game. This is an older IP that I have played, and it looks nothing like the older. I guess it's what got me into Max originally. Was I remember walking into a computer store because my mom was looking for I was young. I was looking for a computer to do whatever studies she was studies at the time. And they had Marathon on one of the Macs there, and I jumped in and started playing it, and loved it. And the aesthetic is nothing like that, so you're not writing off that IP. Realistically, this is not really Marathon. This is a totally different thing. Marathon was sort of like Doom, right? You were going through like Doom. That's what it was. It wasn't a PvP game. And Helldivers is writing off, I guess, a little bit of the nostalgia and the humor and the the satire of Starship Troopers. So, if that's the success they're writing off, I think that's or the example they're using as a success, and they think it'll work for Marathon. I think they're very different things. And absolutely, I think you covered it perfectly, Holly. Absolutely everything you said there is, I think, a lot of the problems with it. Donte, how did you feel about the Marathon? The announcements, the interviews. There was a lot of content out there for us to get a good gauge of what this game is going to be.
I want to say that first off, I want to wish it not but success, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
see the game fail or anything like that.
100%.
I'm just going to be honest from my standpoint because of just where I'm at now with gaming. For me, the art style, it for some reason doesn't appeal to me. The aesthetic of it doesn't really appeal to me. And I think also I'm at the point where as I'm older, when I play when I play multiplayer games, I'm more enjoying playing PvE stuff with friends more so than I'm probably not the target audience, right? Because it's getting in and just doing the PvP against and killing people, dying, respawn, doing that stuff over and over again doesn't appeal to me as much as it used to. I had my days of doing that, playing Halo and stuff, and if I want to do that, I'll probably just go back and play Halo or play COD. So it's hard for me to be the target audience for that, but I think this is more geared for a younger audience that kind of enjoys these type of games, right? They enjoy the extraction shooters and they play games like Warzone and Fortnite and stuff like that. So for them, I hope it's something that appeals to them, especially if Bungie's able to do what Helldivers did, which is get out consistent updates to the game, right? Because Helldivers was pretty good in terms of getting out new maps and new places for you to land on within inside of their universe and the way they kind of did their progression. I thought their rollout was really, really, really good, and it was pretty the cadence was really pretty consistent to give you new stuff every month or so. So if Bungie has that going for them, right, where the 3 maps is just at launch, and then within a month or two they got another 2 or 3 maps, then that will be good, hopefully, for the game. And I think we can, just because of Bungie's pedigree, I think we all feel pretty confident that the shooting mechanics will be fine. Just me personally, I don't know if the extraction shooter appeals to me, right? So I'm going to do the wait and see approach. Maybe one day we all jump in and play, and it's oh, yo, this is really, really, really fun. The concern is it goes back to something that Holly mentioned earlier, which is for these PvP games, it does become a thing for those who, if you If you play it a lot, right, you gain this great skill gap. And if you're someone who plays it casually, you'll come in, you'll just get wrecked, and it's not as fun for you, right? So I think for a lot of these games, they always have to have that thing, because you get to a point where only the people who are playing it later are going to be like the diehards, right? Who are no lifing it, who are really really good, and all the casuals have kind of tailored off from it because they're basically just getting demolished every time they get into the game. So I'm hoping that they don't have that type of problem, because I tend to notice that games that are just primarily PvP over time, that ends up happening, right? Unless you're just playing like
Yep.
some casual maps. So, but yeah, but
I mean,
again, I hope it does well. I'm not wishing anything bad on it. I want to see games succeed, and I want to see Bungie succeed. So.
I mean, look at Halo. I don't know if you guys have, especially in Australia, because there is such a small community playing Halo. You jump in now, you need to be S tier level to even get a kill. Like you like spawn die, like, and then you just sort of give up. So yeah, that does happen as the time goes. Hopefully that's not the case. And I agree. Like, I don't want to see Bungie, fail. It's the last thing I want to see. So I hope this works out for them. I hope PlayStation sets them up for success. I hope they listen to the feedback from the community like they never do. And they go, you know what? We're just going to launch it free to play. And if you download it in the first 2 weeks and you start playing, you get it free. And then after that, maybe we'll charge $40 or something to that effect. You know what I mean? Just something where they can, where they give this game absolutely every opportunity.
That part right there, I forgot to mention that. So like, why is it $40? I don't get that. Like, unless they're up against it in terms of like, hey, revenue from Destiny hasn't been what they wanted it to be, and development for this game put them in a bind. So they're trying to recoup some costs, right? If that's the reason why they're doing that. But generally, like, you're trying to entice other players who are entrenched in their other games, right? That they're playing their Fortnites, they're playing their CODs, etc. You're trying to peel some of them off. And I don't know if you really can do that by saying, here's the entry fee where I can play these other games for free. Where I got to come, what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's an interesting choice. So I'm wondering if they're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit, where they're trying to recoup some costs.
Shout out to Mr. Bushido, mate. The best Halo players are Australian. So I don't know, you say what you want. But I mean, yeah, we produce the best of everything, realistically. I mean, you already have Wi-Fi because of Australians. I don't know if people know that, but we invented that shit. Yeah, 100%, Donte. I think, if you think about it, like, you institute a battle pass that's $20, right? And then you get twice the amount of players, you're going to end up recouping the same cost. I don't even think financially this makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, people are more willing to spend once they're in a game if they like it, and you have faith in your game. And you have a $20 battle pass, and you've got twice the amount of players playing a game, as opposed to if you're selling it for $40 price of entry. You're gonna make that money. That money's gonna be made. So this model doesn't make sense for the type of game that it is. Like, it's weird. Like, COD can get away with charging full price because they release with a ridiculous amount of content. You have content from previous seasons that rolls over, and you're going to get a regular clip. Everyone knows what they're getting. And there's a full campaign. So
there's a full campaign.
Yeah. So there's differences there, and I just think I'd say this is more PlayStation than it is Bungie making this decision. I just think it's the wrong one. Umbra, have you had a chance to check out a lot of what's going on with the marathon? A lot of content out there to sort of cut your teeth on, to sort of figure out whether this game is going to be for you and how it's going to succeed sort of going forward. How are you feeling about the announcement of marathon?
I echo my brother's sentiment here, where he says that he wishes them well. I do too, but I also echo your sentiments where I think it's dead on arrival, and that's for a few reasons. At least unless they make adjustments, which I'm sure they're going to do, because they cannot afford another Concord. Yeah, I almost said Discord. My husband on Discord so much, I almost said that. But yeah, they can't afford another Concord, right? To clear a few things up, 300 people for 4 years have worked on this game. Estimated. This is by the executive director of the game. He said this. So clearly it's AAA. I don't know how much. Probably in the hundreds million area, maybe 100 million, maybe just under it. Whatever the case, that's a lot of money put into this, especially after the failure of Concord. So if this fails, you're right. They're going to be disbanded, at least partially, I would imagine, into other groups, if not just layoffs in general. And none of us want that for them. That said, for me, the problem for me with these types of games is I don't like online only shooters. I don't just want to go around just shooting at people all day. Why am I doing this? What's my motivation? What's the story? What's a narrative? I cannot get hooked to just running around and shooting at people all day. Just won't do it for me. So without a single player component, which is fairly surprising, by the way. Yeah, Gray, over 4 years. Okay, so he was correcting that 4 years, over 4 years for development. So without a single player component, and I think a compelling like narrative to really drive it forward, which they have because the game is, it's tied to an old Mac bound, marathon series. They kind of just abandoned all that, though they are saying that you're going to find elements of that, of why you're now on Tau City 4 instead of hovering around it and through terminals that you will find inside these multiplayer maps. I just don't think that's going to grab people the same way as it would an actual fully fleshed out story with cutscenes, voice acting, a strong narrative, et cetera, et cetera. And you did you all see that 8-minute game or snippet? Not
Yes.
snippet. Yeah, that's short. I should say that's short. Spectacular. Now imagine an actual campaign with that level of cutscene or whatever in it throughout the story. This game could have, to me, I feel like this is a large missed opportunity. And I'm saying this, I know it's a little, early to claim this, but I feel like they could have easily at least had this been their next Halo. You know what I mean? And Bungie's a storied studio. They've been, it's not the same people there. We know that a lot of people that worked on Halo are not there anymore. So it's not the Bungie we knew and loved, to be fair. However, they still do turn in great first-person shooting mechanics. I mean, if we can go past very clearly Destiny 2, they've got it down to a science, right? So it's I think Halo is still the best feeling shooter out there personally, but that's my own bias. But I've heard nothing but positives for Destiny's shooting mechanics. So they clearly, I think the shooting mechanics are not going to be it's not going to be a problem for this game. From what I've seen, they look fine. You can tell that they have it refined just from the visuals and from the gameplay clips. I've seen that; it looks solid. I've seen people like Hidden Xperia playing it. I know he's fairly honest, and other people like Trav guy, what is it, Ty guy Trav? We haven't talked to him in a while.
Ty guy, yeah.
So, clearly they got that down. But then you go to other elements, and it's just like, because then you go to the art style and things like that, and the art style is kind of hit or miss. Danny, he compared it to a game that wasn't fully loaded in, like all the assets hadn't loaded. So, and it does kind of look like that.
With the green and the
You're right.
Yeah.
And it does look like that, just to be honest. And so I get that they're going with a unique style, and for that, to their point, at least a strong suit, to a strong point to their case, I guess, is that it's going to live for a long time. This type of design, because it's very artistic, it's very different. It doesn't have to be static within a set time, right? And you can customize your characters and things like that, but it's not overly appealing to me. It's just okay. In certain aspects. In certain ways, it looks like really terribly plain. And then some aspects, I'm like, okay, that looks pretty cool right there. So I'm torn. I'm leaning toward not caring about it, but it is what it is. Then you go to the menu options and the UI, and that looks terrible to me too. I said it looked like PS2 era inventory when you go through and they have these little items. It just, and I think it was, I forgot who they compared it to. I think they said it's like Tarkov, the way they have it set up. I don't know if it looks like that in Tarkov, then hey, salute to them. That looks terrible to me. I just don't like it. And then you go to the other things. This is the problem too with Destiny. With Bungie in this case. Destiny had some hit or misses when it comes to their expansions, which is also why people should feel a bit cautious, because they, like the Witch Queen, that was universally acclaimed. They had Lightfall. That was mixed.
Lightfall was one of the falters.
One of the worst, exactly.
Yeah.
The user score is like a 2.2. So then they rebounded with the Final Shape. So like they are hit or miss. And if you go further back, there are other major misses like that, right? So they are hit or miss. They're not guaranteed to give you a home run. And so you look at this and you think, man, is this that home run they need? And I don't think I've seen anything that will tell me this is it. It doesn't mean it's not going to be. I can't dictate that. But then you got to take in the other factors. Now they're saying that it's going to be premium priced. What does that mean? Because if it's more than 40, they are in trouble. If it's less than 40, they'll be fine. $20, it was floated out there by Crusader on my show the other day. And he was saying that he heard rumor that it could be $20. I think they'll be, at least if he didn't hear that rumor, or maybe he was saying, but I'll rephrase.
What do you mean by premium? What does premium price mean?
That's how they claim that.
20,
that's how
$20
it was
means like that's budget. That's like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
in terms of like, hey, it's fairly priced.
Yeah.
You know, but what do they mean by premium
I
price?
think when they say a premium price, they meant like $40. But I think I have to rephrase. I don't think he was saying it's going to be, the rumor was 20, but that if they put it at 20 and expand it on the maps and stuff like that through battle passes later and stuff, that could be acceptable, which I would agree. Also, too, it's a PvP and then some elements of PvE. Not good enough. And there's only one mode at the beginning, 6 different operatives that you play with, 3 maps, not good enough. That Halo
Not good enough.
was sacrificed. All right, sacrificed for lack of content. They can't afford to launch with just that. That's another thing. So
what's the most popular extraction shooter right now?
Right now,
Tarkov.
I would possibly say Tarkov, if not, what's another major one that I'm thinking of?
What's the best?
Is Apex considered that? I think Apex is considered one. No, Apex isn't considered that.
Yeah, it's similar to what's the name to like.
It's a battle royale.
It's battle royale.
It's a battle. Oh, okay.
So is that what they're trying to do?
Hunt Showdown.
Hey, battle royale is.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Hunt. That's another one.
The
Battle
Dark
Royale
Zone
is
and
two,
the
what's the
Division
name?
is the same thing too.
The Division, the Division will probably be the best out there, I think, as far as
It's the best.
shooters. Yeah,
100%.
and it also gives you a story. You see what I mean? Like you get the whole suite, and we're used to that with Xbox games too. I think Sony needs to get more in line with Xbox when it comes to giving you everything, not just here's one portion of whatever. But I forgot it's another big extraction shooter too out there that I cannot think of right now. But Tarkov has a few problems. For one, you can't play it on console, you can't play it on Steam. You have to go directly to them, and it got like destroyed for having a $250 edition to get the game. And now they have it, I think, through different means where you can get it for $20 if you have something else. I forgot how it's kind of convoluted. To get to the game is kind of convoluted. But all of that said and aside, I just think that if they could possibly change the pipeline of things to come later on and have it where they add in a PvE mode, I think the game can do well, coupled with the game being either taken to $20 or free to play. I think $40 could work. I think they have a better chance at 20 if not free to play.
I honestly think like drop in a battle pass. Like do a battle pass, $20, man.
Oh man.
And lock everything behind that paywall.
You're gonna be complaining about another battle pass.
Well, maybe, but that's where like you're guaranteed to
up front.
Yeah. Exactly. You're better off locking, like getting people into the game, and then if they've spent that $20, it's also a psychological thing. You spent that $20 in that battle pass. You want to get everything in that battle pass because you spent the $20, right? So that keeps you playing. That's the beauty for game development studios of a battle pass. It just keeps you there getting the content in, right? You don't get it immediately just because you bought it. You got to work for it too. Which I think is sort of scummy, but
so it is. So you're saying like it's like Holly when she chases down all the skins in COD?
Yeah.
I paid for that battle pass. The last one I was like, oh crap, there's only like 2 weeks left and I still have like 6 pages of stuff to earn.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
that's all I paid. That's all I played.
But that's the thing. That's why I buy one battle pass.
I enjoy playing it. It's just like, but if you bought it, you want.
Yeah. No, I get it. Get your money's worth. So do we think
it's not like a
PS2 because they're like
PSVR 2?
There's no other like kind of mainstream game on console that is currently fulfilling that particular market for the extraction shooter.
Hunt Showdown is a Game Pass in all platforms.
Yeah.
Right,
there might be a gap.
That's big. That's big, right? Like COD's big, Fortnite's big, right? So do you think that they're saying, hey, we are trying to get this in the
Big
extraction
extraction
shooter
shooter.
arena?
I just feel like extraction
And that's what
shooters are kind of niche anyway. I don't feel like
They are, but like and I think Hunt Showdown is like the one that's just purely that's what it's doing. It's not doing anything else. And people who play that love that. And yes, it not a huge community. Donte, point taken. And I think there is a little bit of a gap for a huge market to hit, but you don't get that market share by coming in with 3 maps. I think it's actually
$40.
correct me if I'm wrong
It
here. I
could
think
be
it's
4.
4 operators.
It's 3.
It's 4 operators now, and they've got 2
operators.
more coming. It is
Okay,
definitely
so
6.
Yeah. Okay, you might be right. Maybe that is the case. I know I heard 6, but maybe it's 2 that's coming. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
4 now on launch, and then you get 2 more, right? And then you've got 4 maps, and what else? What else have you got? That's not how you come to market, like And there is PvE elements in it, which I do like, but Division 2 is already doing that. And by the way, one of the topics which we won't get to tonight is that there is a huge DLC coming for the Division 2, and that's dropping in on April the 23rd. And I can't wait because I fucking love Division, so like we'll all be in that
isn't
shit.
it information? Isn't it just the information
Yeah, I think they're
dropping on
announcing
the
information.
29th?
Oh, more
on that
details
day.
April 23rd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more details.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's it's a massive DLC. They're calling it. They talked about this
in
at
New York,
launch
right?
with Division 2. By the way, it's a Brooklyn Warlords. I think it's called.
going back to Brooklyn.
Going back to New York, yeah.
The Division is the best shooter on the market. Period. Full stop. Better than Call of Duty. Better than anything else. It is
I love
the
it.
best shooter.
Love it.
Period.
Yeah, it's great.
I just
It's
really
great.
love the
And
mechanics. It's one
but-
of the best. What do you call it?
Looter
Cover
shooter, too.
shooters, looter shooters,
Yep.
cover
Mhm.
shooters.
it does a lot of
Yeah,
things. It
cover
does
shooter,
looter shooter,
sure.
cover shooting. It also does it also has the Dark Zone, which is extraction shooter. And you
Mhm.
don't have to stick to any particular one. And you can play with friends co-op, and you can play PvE, or you can play
Yeah.
PvP. Like it has
And they
and
they added an extraction mode too, and they added kind of like a roguelike thing, like whereas high, like there's a building and you fight each floor and there's 100 levels, right? As high as you
Yes.
can go, you get
Go,
They
yeah.
added a whole
that
bunch
by the
of
way,
stuff.
let me highlight that. Game Seeker, I agree with you. I signed up for that. If you all haven't, you all should, by the way. Arc Raiders is made by the same people
Yes,
that
100%.
did yeah. That looks to be
Battlefield.
actually really fun too. So I would throw that out
Yep.
there for those who are looking for extraction shooters. It looks to have a story behind it too, to a degree. And it just looks more fun in general. But I would also I looked into a risk. There are 6 playable at launch, it says, with 4 revealed thus far. So they got 6 at launch, and what you probably saw was 3 maps with a 4th available shortly after. That's probably what you conflated it with. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, but I just again, that's it. I don't feel you can come to market with 3-4 maps, 6 operators.
You can if
and
you
then
say,
that's what you got.
then we're launching X content in
Next month.
6 or whatever it is.
If
Yeah.
something else is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. If you
within 2 to 3 months after, then you're fine. If you're 6 months later, like Halo was,
They're gone.
A year
People
later,
are gone.
You
yeah,
don't.
People are
out.
gone in 4 to 6 weeks if there's nothing on the horizon coming.
Yeah,
46 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to
Oh,
6
my bad.
weeks.
Not to mention, then all your stuff gets wiped anyway. So
Exactly right. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot against this, and I don't want to be right about it being DOA, but I really feel like it's going to be DOA. And then the other thing is I don't want PlayStation to do what they did with Concord, and then just go shut it down, shut everything down, everyone get absorbed. See you later. Like I just don't want to see that for Bungie. And I think that this game was an extraction shooter with Bungie shooting mechanics. I think like if it does come to market and it's a little bit rocky, I think there's definitely an opportunity for them to pull it back if they do the right things. So I guess that sort of covers off on Marathon.
Confidence in this. I think they have more confidence in this because, like, with Concord, the first you saw of it was that like 5 to 10 minute trailer they did in late May, and then it came out in August, right? And they didn't really do anything else for it in between. They spent that full hour with them sitting on the couch, doing all that stuff. They've had multiple in studio game tests. I feel like, and then obviously they're going to do more marketing, etc., for this game. Doesn't mean it's going to be a better success, but I feel like they are putting more chips on the table with this one, banking that it's going to do better.
Yeah.
Although launching on the same day as Borderlands 4 seems like a bad idea.
Yep. Seems like well, this is the thing as well. You got GTA. It's gonna stack the rest of the year. The other thing with Oblivion, it's what I'm saying is like, don't drop it now, man. Like, if you're gonna drop it now, yeah. Anyway, there's a lot going on this year. It's gonna be a pretty huge year, but there's too much to play. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, as gamers, golden age, it's the golden year of gaming at the moment. Like, we had one in 2023, we're having another one in 2025, and hopefully this continues, but slow down a little bit. Just a little bit, slow down, right?
It's a good problem to have. Very good problem to have, right?
Yeah, give me some time to catch up.
Not so much for the backlog, but yeah.
My backlog is huge right now. Absolutely massive. I guess we should.
That's what she said.
Not good.
Holly.
No one's ever said that to me. There's definitely a lot to talk about this week, but I think we covered off on most of the main stuff, and there is a whole bunch more stuff I've got there. Skull and Bones is getting land combat, and again, here's another example of a game that came out and launched poorly. That had they done the right things at the beginning and given their gamers what they wanted, then maybe they could be in a better situation.
Good luck, Skull and Bones.
Look, I want a pirate game. Like, I want a good pirate game. Like, I don't know how you couldn't, but Holly?
The fact they're adding all this stuff in the second year and it seems to finally be shaping. I wonder if it's going to be like a No Man's Sky where it's like it just is a disaster and they just keep
They make a comeback.
chipping away because this update seems to be like something everybody wanted, right? Like, you want to get off your ship, you want to be a pirate on land, you can do that. Like, that's amazing, right? How did you think that people wouldn't want that to begin with? You only live on your ship?
Yeah, that's really weird considering like you were trying to compete with
like you never go to port ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mo's picking on me again. Why don't I know what I'm talking about, Mo? Why? I mean, I get proved right pretty often, but it's why am I wrong?
Mo always lives up to his name, being mad with the all
I
caps.
know, he's always in caps. It's so good.
Mo's a man of his word.
Right.
I'm a man of my word.
I'll say this for Skull and Bones. Risk, I was right about the whole thing about that game falling. I had to capitalize on that. But I like what I'm seeing here for season 3 with them having on land combat. I mean, the problem with this is, again, that it was so long in development that it missed that window for opportunity of catching that audience for Black Flag, right? Very clearly. And dropping it also where it's just sea battles. Nobody really wanted that. We wanted more. And so now adding something like this is cool. I wish they would have had it at the beginning. But hey, to what Holly mentioned, maybe this could be like their I guess version of what's the game you just mentioned, and I forgot that fast.
Skull and Bones.
Marathon. No.
No Man's Sky.
Sea of Thieves.
No.
Sky.
Well, I guess you could say Sea of Thieves too. Yeah, I'll go with Sea of Thieves, where they expanded upon it and grew it from what it was at first. So Sea of Thieves is that too. So it could be that. I don't know if they'll have the people coming back to jump into it, but from what I've seen, I mean, I'm intrigued, as I guess they would say. So we'll see. I'll wait to see more of it before I make a judgment. But I'm not mad about it. I'll say that.
Mo's pushing that Sea of Thieves. Thing is with the Sea of Thieves, man, is that you require like more than one person, and I'm a likable guy, but no one likes to hang around me, so I can't play with anyone. Okay, I'm gonna be fine.
Holly? It's not. It's more like, I guess Sea of Thieves is more family friendly, more family oriented style, whereas like if you really wanted to be like a pirate, right? Like you're not gonna be one of those like characters that they have, which are sort of the bubbly Fortnite-esque style. Please take me off of full screen. Why do you have me on full screen?
For Casey, because he's like Blue Number, the Heartbreaker. So I thought I'd just give him a thrill.
Anyway, it like the aesthetic does not lend for you to be a total a-hole, even though I have heard that a lot of people go in and like to just absolutely troll other people.
Oh, I do.
And yeah,
I got arrested. I had my big experience with because we're close to obviously Southeast Asia and China, so my experience in Sea of Thieves was with some Chinese crew. And I could have done the right thing by them, but I ended up in the brig.
Did you tell them you were the captain, or then they, or what?
Well, no, I shot at their ship, and there was like 4 of them, and they had a much bigger ship. But I was like, right, let me just have a crack at this, and then I acted. Then I was like, I'm really sorry, and I went on land and I spoke to them. Like I was literally speaking. They were speaking English back, and like, and I'm like, I pretended that I was going to be all good, and then when they turned around, I tried to kill them, and then they put me in the brig.
That's some privilege right there, boy. They would have killed my black ass. They let you live through that? That's special.
I think I got thrown off the ship. A lot of stuff. They sunk my ship. I wasn't happy.
They sunk your battleship.
They sunk my battleships. Anyway, look, it's been a absolutely fantastic salutations. Let's do it. Sorry. It's been an absolutely fantastic show. Umbra, I'm going to wrap it up. Let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, and what you've got planned for the week. What's happening with you?
Man. Well, thank you all for joining us today. You can find me Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter or Blue Sky or any types of social media, I suppose. As far as this week, I will be heading out with the family. Like I said, I'm going to have some karaoke. I'm going to sing my heart out, and I'm going to go see Sinners. Maybe in the afternoon or evening, or slightly in the evening, maybe. Going to have some drinks. Going to go eat some good food. Yeah, and I'm going to fall back. I also have WrestleMania to check out, so we'll be having a discussion about that next week on The Fix. And The Fix is on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. Myself, Daniel J. McGee, and I'll have guests Santi Lou, and I might get my boy Rand to see if he want to jump in, since he likes wrestling too. See if he might want to jump in there for that. And on Tuesdays, of course, the Xbox Factor with myself, Boom, and Jamie Moran on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern. So you all come by and show us love on all those channels. Mine specifically, if you could subscribe. In fact, I'll post a link in a second. If you're not subscribed, if you could do so, I would appreciate it. Almost close to 2,000. I would like to get there before the end of this year. And so thank you all.
I think I deleted my celebration button, but the applause button, but pretend that I've hit it.
Acknowledge me.
Donte's got one there. He could hit that applause button. He's like, I know what you're talking about. He's,
hold on.
Yeah.
Salutations would have done me just fine if you'd have said that.
Salutations. Congratulations. Head there and hit the link in the chat. But if you want to find that, if you missed the link in the chat, head down below. All the links are in the description down below. Holly, let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, what you got planned for the week. How's things?
Oh, here, let me.
Doombox.
Oh, she's been lying to us. She don't even got an Xbox. Oh man. Ooh. She just bite.
That's the front, and then the inside is actually like probably more
crazy writing
than the outside.
Yeah, I saw your post.
She's gonna conjure some type of demon with this stuff. Do it.
Isn't that cool?
Do it.
Dewey Dimbula.
Yeah, that tweet blew up. It's at like 600 likes and whatever.
Yeah.
So I am going to stream tomorrow. So if you're interested in watching me play some games, I think I'm gonna play Tales from the Borderlands. I think it's only a 10-12 hour game, so I can do that in 2 or 3 streams. So I'm going to start that tomorrow. That'll be good prep for Borderlands 4, which comes out later this year. And then I'm also, of course, going to start the Oblivion remaster make, whatever it is, as soon as it drops. And then in 24 days from today is Doom the Dark Ages, which I will be streaming very, very much. And I'll beat it. It'll be great. But if you're interested in watching me play any of that and hanging out and chatting and whatever else, come follow me here on YouTube. I'm up to 136, I think it is, subs. And then I'm also going to try to get some co-op streams going. So maybe some of my panel members will join me, or other panel members, like Tuesday nights on the Renegade Realm podcast at 5 p.m. Central on Red Wolf's channel. That's the other show that I'm on. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then happy Easter to everybody watching. That's it.
You love that full screen. She loves it.
Love it.
Absolutely. You go head down on the description, click those links, and do that stuff. Donte, how's your week looking?
Yeah, week's looking great. Shout out to special shout out to everyone in the chat. As always, we couldn't do this without you guys, so we greatly appreciate everybody coming through to rock out with us and have good conversations. I'll be also seeing Sinners tomorrow, so I'm going to go check that out. I think at 7 p.m. And then I'll be playing some more South of Midnight, so that way I can try to finish that up and then return back to AC Shadows. But yeah, you can find me on the socials, Donte J Moody, and you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy your Easter.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say, look, I'll do it to myself as well, Holly Stevie. I gotta say though, like, head down the description, click those links. Absolutely. I sort of like am really torn between Assassin's Creed and South of Midnight because I'm really enjoying both. What I need to do is just literally drop. I need to drop Assassin's Creed and just
finish one
and just and get it done. I think South of Midnight, get it done, because then I can just sort of pick apart Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed's great because you can just like do little section, like, you know, I'm going to go over here and check that out, explore. So if you've got like, you know, for me, sometimes I might only have half an hour to play. So like if I got half an hour, I can knock out a couple of little areas and see what's going on, collect this chest, and then, you know, nothing serious that like affects the game. And then when I've got more of a chunk of time, I bite into the main campaign. But yeah, I really need to sit down and just.
It's funny you say that. It's exactly how I'm playing. Literally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're sort of made for that, right? But guys, in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing. Every single one of you have been awesome this week, as you are every week. We couldn't do this without you guys coming through every week, supporting us. Please don't forget to hit that like button. The links are in the descriptions, also in the chat. 8 p.m. EST every Friday we go live, except just to shout out to everyone, next week we will not be going live. We may do a pre-record. I'm on leave and I will be in Bali. If you're American, that's Bali. Southeast Asian, sort of just around the corner for us. Basically, it's like visiting Mexico if you're in America, or Canada, or if you're in the UK, it's like visiting Spain. You know, 3-hour flight, absolutely beautiful. I'll be chilling out by the pool. We got a babysitter for the kids. Things are looking absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to get there. I might get on a surfboard if they have one big enough so I don't sink it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to my week. We'll see what happens with the next week if we do a thing, but keep an eye on Twitter. I'll let you guys know exactly what we're doing. We'll be back the following week as per normal. And shout out to all you guys in the panel, been absolutely amazing as well. Come through every week supporting. Apologies that I was late, and we will see you all in the next one.
I'm glad it wasn't me at this time, at least.